Evening, my fellow human beings. Dion Harper here. I was just watching the evening news. What are we on about, my fellow human beings? It's just pretty out there stuff to ask me. I personally don't get it. I can see it, but I don't get it. It just doesn't add up. Our bigger pictures as a global community or as a species, if we really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it, what's our bigger picture? Our long-term objective? It's not that difficult a question to ask me, and I'm not talking political cycles or anything like that. I'm talking minimum 100-year blocks. That's how I tend to work when it comes to long-term side of things. What's our long-term objective as a global community? Cultures, personal face, all of it factored in. Our global population, several billion of us. What's our long-term objective as a global community? I recommend we rein it all in and take a step back and start there, my fellow human beings. Well, not quite there. I'd be starting at subspecies mammal. We reside on a finite nature planet. Work outwards from there. Factor in everything. And the sooner the better. I hate to say it, but time's relative in regards to the situation we've landed ourselves in re our climate change problems. We did have a bit of time to spare, or even a dozen years ago when I first jumped online, re why I'm online. We had a bit of time to spare, but that time's behind us now. Now we're staring down the barrel of a mass extinction level event scenario that we pretty much choreographed ourselves into. It's just, as I mentioned, pretty out there sort of stuff. It doesn't add up. That this is happening and we're being so casual about it. It just doesn't add up. It concerns me. Personally, or nearly half a century ago now, via my schooling, early years schooling process, etc., I learnt that subspecies mammal, finite in nature planet. From that moment on, I was sort of being a bit curious as to why we're willing to put it all at risk for little more than short-term profit margins based outcomes via an economic system that we made up, and it's not even compatible with Earth. It astounds me. I mean, what's going on? I mean, not to dumb it down or any such thing. No ill will intended, but have we consumed too much plastic and we've got plastic on the brain or something? Because it just doesn't add up, to ask me, that we're willing to put it all at risk for such a thing, as in the short-term profit margins approach. It's scary. And the way that we're moving at the moment, the inwards-looking protectionism type approach that we're taking, that's an issue. If we're talking about we want to be a functioning global community into the future, it's an issue. It's not an approach I'd recommend, and I highly recommend, we take a step back as a whole and reassess the lot. When I say a whole, while there's still a resemblance of democracy in the air, as long as the majority of us, a big portion of us, decide to do something together, that's where we're heading. Until it changes, and like I said, we're heading down the wrong path in regards to the inward-looking stuff that we've got going on. So I recommend we take a step back and reassess where we're at as a global community. So yeah, I was just passing by. I thought I'd have a bit of a quick chat, in this case a video format chat. Don't know how many more of these I'll do. I am due more chats. Off the top of my head, personal faiths, population is another one, and vital infrastructure. I need to have a bit of a chat about that side of things. I'm not talking deep, really get into the science side of things sort of approach. I'm just talking the nuts and bolts, layman's terms. What do we need to discuss sort of stuff. But that's not going to, I don't think that'll happen in video format. I think audio format will be okay. I'll be okay with it anyway. What's done with it? It's beyond me. I'm just one amongst millions. So we'll have to see where it pans out. I've got my own stuff going on out here in my little world these days. So, I'd really love to say that I can do more, but it really is and is what it is sort of situation. There are folk that are and quite influential folk, well placed within our global community, that are fully aware of my circumstances. Whether or not they step in and try to improve the situation to the degree that I can sort of step up more in regards to my polite online activities, re our Earth Us problems, it's beyond me, and it's not something I lose sleep over. That's for them to deal with through that side of things. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm willing to do in regards to my polite online activities. I know how far I'm willing to go, which toes I'm willing to politely step on, etc., etc. The rest of it's beyond me. But I do recommend. I mean, it's never too late to get things done, and I do back myself in regards to all the angles that we play or try to play and use against each other, etc., etc. It's not going to work with me. The more I get fired up, chat-wise, and the more you try to come at me, I'll actually turn those angles around and spin them back in the other direction. I can play that game. I've always been able to play that game. I'll back myself, but I need to be doing better than what I'm doing currently, and you can hear it at the moment. I've only been speaking a couple of minutes really, and my breathing's about to go, and the first sign of that is my vocals start going. What it is, I could get into the whys side of things, but that's a bit of a long story at this stage. There's a few chats online. All audio, mostly audio format chats. If you look around, there's some hints as to what's going on with that side of things, but I don't need to talk about it in this chat. I'm just actually passing by in this chat. It's not a serious chat or anything like that. You'll know when I get serious. You'll know it, and it won't be because I name names or go after specific individuals or anything like that. It's because I start delving into the subject matter a little bit more in regards to could be stepping on many toes. It's not water off a duck's back to me. When I first landed online a dozen years ago, the first person that told me to, that they said to my face, metadata worldwide, that need to get rid of that guy. He's a problem. Yeah, you all right, mate? You want to talk about it? Don't worry about threatening me. I'm good. You feel okay, you want to talk about it. I'm quite serious. It's just water off a duck's back to me. So you can't rub me up the wrong way. You can't. None of that works with me. I'm funny in that way. I'm a bit of an oddball in a number of ways. I can't learn learned behaviour unless the angles all add up to me. So anything on the go, I tend to be assessing it on the go from multiple angles, and it just won't. It won't sink into my brain as such unless I've assessed all the angles and they actually add up. It's just that's why I say I can't really learn a behaviour patterns unless the numbers add up, so to speak. So it used to be problematic for me in my youth, this type of stuff, but as I've gotten older, it's actually quite beneficial to me. It's a tool. So to speak, I can apply it in many situations, which includes my online activities, Rio Earth Us problems. So where are we heading, my fellow human beings? What's our long-term objective? Centuries will do, millennia, all that, because there's a lot bigger pictures involved. When we say we do it for our children and then their children, etc., etc., in my mind that straight away we're talking intergenerational. So if we're talking intergenerational, we're talking a lot longer time cycles, timelines than short-term political cycles. We're talking centuries, minimum. When we say our children and their children, and when it comes to how we learn things and absorb that information and pass it on to the next generations, we kind of need give or take 3 generations in play, children, parents and grandchildren sort of stuff, in order to be able to pass the information on in such a way that it won't be corrupted and distorted and etc., as each generation passes by. We actually live in an age these days where it's become simpler for us to pass this information on with the metadata world and technology, etc. But that's a double-edged sword. We've got a lot of misinformation and disinformation type of stuff going on these days as well. So we've got to be very careful, when it comes to what information we're passing on or trying to teach each other these days. We just got to be careful. I highly recommend. And I could quite easily name a particular platform that I've been on for a number of years now. It was a convenience thing. I assessed all the platforms back in the early days, which ones I could do, would work in more beneficial ways for me in regards to my online activities, and one in particular popped up. But these days, that's gone a bit sideways, and misinformation and disinformation, that approach seems to be it's a theme. It's almost a trend, so to speak, and that's not good. So as I said, it's like a double-edged sword. We need 3 generations worth of us to pass on the appropriate information that we need to pass on. But if with this whole internet side of thing in play, the metadata world, if we're not passing on the appropriate information and we're spinning yarns and not being straight down the line with each other, etc., then the double-edged sword side of things kicks in, and misinformation and disinformation can, just as quickly as the truth, become the truth for us, even though it's not the truth. So, we've just got to be careful. So, I might leave it there, my fellow human beings. I was actually just passing through. Look, if I've had a few knocks on my door, real world wise, in regards to my online activities, particularly as I think of 2015, 2017. Odds on I'll have more knocks on my door as time goes on. I'm heading towards 60 now. I've made my stand as far as what I'd like my life's efforts to add up to. Push comes to shove, I know what I don't want my life's efforts to be about, sort of stuff. The journey or the destination side of things. But I'd like to think that perhaps there's a few knocks on my door, but on the what can we do together side of things, as opposed to you're coming with us, handcuffs on sort of stuff. Been there, done that. I'm serious. And to have seen anything in regards to my online activities this last dozen years, one will know that it's very much a possibility for me every day of the week. Has been for years. In the early days when I jumped online, I was politely approaching all the main stakeholders on this finite nature planet that we reside on in regards to the personal journey side of things, rewire I'm online, which I call very short form, the democratically based GMS equation. It's the bold print. It's around. It's not important in this moment, although to stick by the logic of it all and be true to it as such, give or take, that's where we'll end up. If we there's always been a point A and a point B for me online. Point A was getting I couldn't be under the radar in regards to why I'm online, so hence I started approaching all the main stakeholders from way back and welcoming them in regards to the democratically based GMS equation side of things. And point B is we need to have a all-in, totally transparent, globally based discussion in regards to what's our long-term objective. And then we need to knuckle it out and figure out where we're heading, as in that's our long-term objective, let's get on with it, sort of stuff. And my role in that side of things, if we get to that point in time, GMS equation or not, logically speaking we should land in, give or take, around that area, but if we land at the point B side of things, rewire I'm online, one could consider me as like I'm not a main stakeholder. I'm not interested, as in I'm not the front man sort of thing. It just doesn't interest me. One can consider me as more like I'm in the background, a consultant sort of person. Any troubles, any disputes, any, the logic's not adding up sort of things, quite welcome to jump in and ask me to sort of give some advice, and I'll happily give that advice, and I'll be pretty blunt about it in a very polite way. If we were to get to that point in time, no mucking around, serious stuff. Yeah, I'd offer up some advice as to, how do we get out of the situation we're in, sort of thing, and move on to the next point. So yeah, just passing through. I will leave it at that. I can feel my throat going, so it's going to shut down any minute now. Pretty confident I have a long night ahead of me. Got a bit of a breathing issue thing going on. Is what it is. I'd like to change that dynamic, but see how we go. Working on it. Yeah, I'm working on it. It's a complicated process, stepping on toes and sort of stuff. I'll leave it there. Regards, Dion. Peace to you and all, including all future loved ones as yet to come. Go on.